Bayern Munich's Julian Nagelsmann is known for being very tactically flexible. We saw last season where he trialed many different formations and tactics, and I think this will continue in the coming season. Against Manchester City, we already saw multiple formations on the field: a 3-5-2, a 3-1-4-2, and a 4-2-3-1. And Bayern's formations and tactics differed in the offensive and defensive stages of the game. Nagelsmann came up with some interesting tactical ideas, I thought, and I will therefore be showing you some of the defensive, offensive, and pressing formations that Nagelsmann used in the game and why he chose to use these formations. Bayern lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation and utilized Thomas Muller's pressing. Bayern started in the 4-2-3-1 formation when defending, and Thomas Muller led the line, which I thought is a smart tactic because it makes use of one of the world's best pressers and allows him to press from the front, organize the press from the front, and just lead the team in general. And you can see this in the match where there's a clear 4-2-3-1 formation. It's clear that Muller is the furthest forward. While in this clip, you also see Thomas Muller gesticulating, and his pressing leadership is shown as he pushes teammates forward and closes down opposition defenders, and eventually this leads to a press where you see all players from Man City are covered. They are covered by Leroy Sané, covered by Kimmich, covered by Gnabry, and therefore City have no real passes. It's a very dangerous situation for City. And as Muller has bended his run, he's curved his run to cut off the passing lane to the City right back, it appears to be. It appears that City will have to go long in this move, as all their players are marked and pressed, and therefore Bayern can retain the ball. Now, moving on to the 3-5-2 system that Bayern also used when pressing, and their high-octane, high-pressure press. Bayern later moved to this 3-5-2 system, and it allowed more ferocious pressing due to the extra additional man up front. And one of the main tactics I saw behind this 3-5-2 was having Thomas Muller and Serge Gnabry, who were the strikers, each pressing one centre-back, and Leroy Sané was also tightly marking Rodri from City, which is circled. Rodri could therefore not get the ball, and the centre-backs could therefore not get the ball and dictate the tempo of the match, as they were often pressed, they were often closed down, and this prevented City from playing it short among the centre-backs and centre midfield, and was a smart pressing strategy. It meant that City actually had to play long at times. If the goalkeeper got the ball, the goalie had to play long, as he couldn't play to the CDM or the centre-backs. And I think this was designed by Nagelsmann specifically for the 4-3-3 system. Tight pressing with many players was a hallmark of Bayern's play. For example, the 5 Bayern players in that small circled area where the ball was forced a turnover and created a Bayern chance. City were suffocated like this at multiple times, leading to a quick counter-attacks by Bayern Munich after winning the ball back. Nagelsmann clearly wanted to press high, hard, and with many bodies as possible. Moreover, when City were forced out wide, like in the photo, many Bayern players bunched up around the ball, and this restricted the chances of City getting a successful pass out of the press and led to Bayern having many opportunities in this manner. While, however, as you see in this clip, just following that Bayern press, which did lead to a Bayern chance, it actually also led to a City chance after Bayern fluffed their lines, and this is because of the amount of players. There are about 7 players pressing in that previous clip, and it shows that City were able to quickly counter due to those 7 players up. That means only 3 players are back, only the 3 defenders are back, and you can see this in this clip as it's clear that City have a 3-on-2 situation, and scenarios like this were very common in the match. Bayern were left with 3-on-2 situations, and due to their aggressive pressing style, and this must be addressed by Nagelsmann. Another deficiency of the back 3 system that I saw was that the wide centre-backs like Lico Hernandez in this photo had to follow the opposition wingers like Riyad Mahrez, and this left space open, for example, in the X-shaped area in the photo. But another instant of the 3-5-2 high press and where it was working effectively is seen here with Bayern's high-pressing wingbacks always on City's fullbacks. That shows how many players Nagelsmann was committing forward. And here, all City players are marked, and this leads to a likely long pass from City's right back into midfield or into the attack, and therefore likely a turnover possession. So this showed when the Bayern press was working, it was working well, as all City players are covered. Another thing I would like to talk about is the high line aided by Manuel Neuer and the fast defenders that Bayern has. So Nagelsmann used an extremely high line, limiting the space between defense and offense. And this was aided by Alphonso Davies' monstrous recovery pace. For example, in this photo, even though Bayern play this high line, Alphonso Davies would always be able to make it to that right winger, such as his pace. And Bayern's fast team is made up of Hernandez, Upamecano, Davies, Mazraoui, who are all very fast, and it allows for a high line to be played with some insurance that Bayern's defenders will catch opposition attackers if those over-the-top balls come through. But it is also crucial, really important, that Manuel Neuer is in the side, because his sweeping enables such a high line. He can sweep balls in behind the defense, and the amount of balls which are going to beat Manuel Neuer's sweep but also not be short enough that Bayern's defenders can't run back for them are going to be very minimal, which leads to the high line being a viable tactic for Bayern. That said, the high line is often quite a bit of a liability. Here, a quick throw-in leads to a 1-versus-1 opportunity against Manuel Neuer, and Bayern's defenders must be really alert in situations like this in the future. Perhaps playing a defensive line at the halfway point is actually too extreme, because these situations were common throughout the match. Erling Haaland, players like that, often got through the high line throughout the match. Now for Bayern's play in attack and their formations in attack. So Bayern mainly used the 3-1-4-2 formation for build-up. Kimmich would drop in between the centre mids, and Sané and Sabitzer. Sané would cut in from the left wing and would actually act as a central midfielder. And this is the formation in the match. This is how Bayern played it in the match. You can clearly see the three defenders and then Kimmich in between the defence and the midfield, and Sané and Sabitzer in midfield. But Kimmich was often marked, therefore ball progression often had to go through one of the two midfielders, and this was a Bayern tactic. Here, Musiala is open and he receives the ball, later progressing the play forward. However, the midfielders who were receiving the ball were often tightly marked. You can't see it in the photo, but someone is right behind Musiala. And in this play, Musiala did dribble his marker. This was due to his tight control, his smart thinking, which were perfect for the role. But Sané, who played the role of that left-sided midfielder before him, lost the ball multiple times in certain situations. He's not that great with his back to goal. He's better running at defenders instead of quickly turning and being smart in his movements. Therefore, I thought it was quite shambolic of Nagelsmann to have someone like Sané playing in the centre mid role, where they were just losing the ball a lot and couldn't dictate the tempo, couldn't control the game. Another strategy was to play the ball to a dropping striker who would be in space, because this would drag City's defenders. In this clip, Nathan Ake is dragged, and therefore fast counter-attacks could be created, as we see here, where Gnabry drops. Gnabry therefore then plays it to Kimmich, and Kimmich sets Sané on his way, and this removes one City defender. It removes the Man City players who were committed to the press, and therefore leads to an interesting and fast and dangerous counter-attacking opportunity. De Ligt's passing range was crucial for a back three build-up. De Ligt was quickly able to switch play from side to side. In this photo, the ball had come from the right centre-back, therefore City were swayed towards that side. This left space for an unmarked Davies, where De Ligt quickly found him, and having a great passer as a central centre-back is crucial for a back three system where overloads on the wing are key, but also those passes to midfield I was talking about earlier, from defence when Kimmich was marked into the centre mids, quite long passes like the one to Musiala. It's crucial to have someone like De Ligt who can really play those pinpoint passes in order for a successful build-up in this back three formation. However, herein lies another deficiency of the 3-1-4-2 build-up, in that risky passes through the central of midfield could be cut out. Above led to an interception and a chance for City as Kimmich's pass was cut out. Moreover, as Kimmich often dropped deep to collect the ball, there was no Bayern player often in the X area where Kimmich should have been, and this allowed City to press harder and higher, preventing Bayern build-up. For example, the pass in the photo could have been made by a centre-back, but it's Kimmich who makes it, and this wastes Kimmich's potential presence in the field and allows City to press higher up. So this needs to be rectified by Nagelsmann in the future. I think someone like De Ligt could have easily played that pass. Someone like De Ligt could easily be a ball playing centre back, allowing Kimmich further up the field. So, in conclusion, Bayern Munich's match versus Manchester City showed some interesting tactical ideas from Nagelsmann, I thought. However, it was fair to say that City did dominate the match and that Bayern were outplayed. And therefore, ultimately, I think that Nagelsmann really needs to make sure the high line is not too high. Therefore, there are not constant overloads, there are not constant over the top through balls in behind the Bayern defence, which both Neuer and the defenders can't catch. But I also thought that Bayern's build-up as a 3-1-4-2, while it did have some ideas like playing to those central midfielders, like playing to those strikers, it too often went into just playing a long ball over the top to Muller or Gnabry, or playing a ball to the wide right back and left back who were quickly closed down, and the play wasn't very fluid. We were often pressed hard by City and we were often forced to play long balls. And I think this will really need to be improved. One solution would be to play Kimmich in more of a central mid position, which means that he doesn't drop deep to collect the ball, because this was just creating confusion at the back and also open spaces in the middle, which allowed City to press higher. But I also think having someone like Musiala instead of Sane in that central mid position is crucial, because you need quick thinking, you need someone who can quickly move the ball. And that's why I thought Gravenberch was actually excellent in that central midfield role too. He can dribble, he can be smart in playing out from the press, and Musiala and Gravenberch are quite resistant, so they were actually quite perfect for the role and could do well. While the final thing I'd like to say is that we need that central centre-back to be De Ligt. We need that passing ability that he brings, the aura he brings in the back line. And ultimately, we need a build-up structure which doesn't just rely on the individual brilliance of a midfielder like Musiala, or a great run by someone like Gnabry, but we need something more tangible, we need something better. And I think Nagelsmann will look at this a lot in the season. I'm not sure what he'll play tomorrow or in the next few days versus Leipzig, but it'll certainly be interesting. But I think that the 3-4-2 may not be the right one for Bayern's season in the future.